From UBN Studios, you're listening to Unsugarcoated with Aalia, bringing you interviews with public figures and inspirational people speaking on self-improvement with empowering themes. And I'm your host, Aalia Lanius. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to another Unsugarcoated episode for you. I am your host, and this, of course, is your favorite social good podcast. Again, carrying on the season theme of trust the process. We're happy to be back here. I see myself on camera, and I got to tell you, I've got a little clue as to my guest coming up. I hope you guys like the color. I hope you guys like the look, because it's actually tied into it. So I'm quite excited. But on that, we're going to be talking about visualizing success as well. The power of positive thinking has a significant impact on our outcomes. We've talked about that before. We talked about it in the last episode. We're definitely keeping it going. And as part of the process, you also have to become a master of many things, most importantly, yourself, right? And also the vision that you're casting and ultimately manifesting for yourself. These are things that I know that all of our audience members are very much into. I'm not going to lie. I know in my own journey, I've definitely had some people doubt me and doubt my capability, but, you know, have you ever had someone doubt you? And let me tell you what I'll tell you what my response to that is. If I meet somebody and I share my vision and they say, well, you can't do that. Do you want to know what my response is? It's simply this. Well, thank you. You just showed me your limitations, but you did not show me mine. And that's something that I want all of you to remember as we go through this process. Making success happen for yourself does not happen overnight. It is not a linear process. And even the term itself, success, it's subjective, right? Maybe your thought of success is having a thriving business. Maybe it's just having a thriving family, or both, right? To me, that's true success, when you can really have your money and your career or whatever it is professionally, but also your family and your health, your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. That to me is really a part of what success looks like. So in that though, since I brought up businesses, and I'm again going back to my little clue on my ears, success is not measured by the money you earn, but by your ability to change people's lives. This is a quote by Michelle Obama, and let me tell you, I love this quote. In fact, I love any brand that is not just trying to sell you a product, but an experience. Those are the type of brands that are inviting people to be part of a belief that benefits them. And I'm going to give a little shout out to even my oldest daughter, who has actually started an amazing line of crystal infused lip glosses. But the thing that's really cool is specific to Zodiacs. It's more about the intention behind it and the way the people who use her product feel, right? So imagine, and let me just kind of back up, because manifestation is really, really predicated upon your belief system. What is it that you are attracting? What is it that you are being magnetic and attracting into your life and causing manifestation? So as we've already discussed this season so far, everything has a process. And today I'm excited to introduce to you our guest and hear about her experiences on the same subject, on visualization, success, diversity, right? And even how our cultures don't always embrace the female entrepreneur. So this is something that I'm excited to have. And once we get her going, we'll understand what I mean by these amazing earrings I'm wearing right now. So here we go. Veronica Tharmalingam grew up in Chennai in southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu before moving to Paris at the age of 12. After being spotted by a model scout, she found herself modeling, working for local and international brands in Europe and Asia. Although facing expectations set upon them by Indian society, the women in Veronica's family were never bound by it. While respectful of their heritage, they also have made their own way by crafting their unique voice with the tools at their disposal. Veronica, like her mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and great-great-grandmother before her, took the essence of Indian culture values while doing away with the social constraints that limited them as women. And her ancestors before, just like Veronica today, always expresses this sense of freedom through the way that they carried themselves in the world, driven and artful, grounded and tasteful, wisely determined and boldly elegant. Today, Veronica Tharmalingam is a brand of luxury jewelry and handbags made by hand for evening outings, celebrating an unconventional lineage of women spawned by a fierce Indian warrior queen. Behind the brand, a woman, a vision, Veronica is the great-great-granddaughter of Rani Magamal, warrior queen of ancient Madurai, and today she is our featured guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Veronica Tharmalingam.
Thank you
so much. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so impressed how you pronounce all those Indian names so perfectly. I'm impressed.
Well, I apologize if I said anything wrong, but I think they're beautiful.
Perfect. Thank you.
And you obviously come from a very beautiful culture. You're a beautiful woman yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here in studio with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
How have you been?
Good. How are you? It's been a whirlwind since we last saw each other.
Yes, yeah. which I've got to give my audience some context. So I was invited to a Beverly Hills Hilton event featuring your particular designs.
Yeah, it was our launch party.
And I fell in love. So now we can tell. And actually, ironically enough, for the visual audience, we are both wearing the exact same
and
earrings.
green. We didn't even call each other. It's amazing.
We didn't plan
like
this.
Mine's
Synergy, synchronous. Well, let me ask you a question though. See, to me, why do you love certain colors?
It's not that I love certain colors. It's so funny because my daughter, if you ask her the same question, or my son, they would tell you the same. What is your favorite color? Rainbow.
My 5-year-old says that. I'm like, you're genius. I wish I would have said that a long time ago.
Exactly. I don't have like a perfect, like a favorite color. There are colors that go well with my skin tone. Of course, there are like good ones and the bad ones, let's say. But I love all colors, and I love mixing them together and making like a harmonious visual effect with that.
Do you ever? So I feel empowered by the color that I'm wearing because each color has its own representation. Mm-hmm. So when you wear green, what do you feel you're empowered by? What is the vibe?
The vibe I go for is happiness and positivity. So that's what colors represent for me. Like no matter what color it is, like for me, each color has its own energy. I want to say, right? So. For sure.
Yeah, no, I do. I wear green because it's it's good fortune. Let's say that. Yeah. It's a positive. It's not about, no, look.
But you can't wear green on stage, remember? Like when you're in theater, right. That's considered bad luck. Right. I learned it. I was like, also,
some people also not because the green screen, if you're in a studio and you have a green screen.
Oh, yeah.
So in those cases, red is good. White, just kidding. Anyways, absolutely. All of these colors. So, okay, share with me a snapshot of your current life and actually some of the projects that you're managing. Like you said, you had the launch. How's that going for you?
Well, today we're launching our new collection drop. So we launched it this morning, actually. So it's called the Maldives. So it's inspired by like my different travels. And Maldives collection is all about the aquatic life in and around Maldives, which is the Indian Ocean, which is very, very close to Chennai and worlds apart at the same time for me. So it's like, it's an amazing moment for me because these earrings they're gonna be in the new collection, the next ones, or like working on multiple collection drops like every other month or every 3 months. Or still working on it. It's all about all the places I've been to and how they inspired me.
I love that because I believe every creative, we create these things that are somehow representative of our own lives in many ways, right?
Yeah.
Where do you draw most of your inspiration from these days?
It's for me. It's a mix of India, because I was born there. But I moved to France when I was 12, so I'm also French. Now I'm American as well since last year. So it depends, but my inspirations come mostly from India, the French culture, which I grew up in. My husband, he is half Italian, half English. He always saw me. He reminds me of these things. I can tend to forget, and I'm like that's normal for me. I don't put a word to it or a meaning to it. So he's telling me this is amazing how you're drawing these two cultures that you grew up in, and you taking the best of each culture and using them in your life. And I'm trying to teach them to my children, my kids. I'm trying to teach them my mother tongue, which is Tamil. So it's fun. It's fun. I love it.
I love that. I mean, do you think that the modeling had as much of an impact as much as your cultural, which I am going to go to the multicultural part in a minute. Cause I mean, I'm multicultural. When you said it, I smiled because I'm like, at this point when people are like, what are you? I'm like, I'm just a bunch of stuff. I'm multicultural. I don't even want to answer your question anymore. Just multicultural. Like, get it through your head. I'm not one thing. So, but you had this amazing opportunity early in life and now you're a designer. So do you think that had a bigger impact on you? Or was it the beginning as far as the designer in you?
I mean, designing came very, very late in my life, I want to say, even though it was already in me. Like, I realized everything like backhand, So my mom, I grew up watching her going to these stores in Chennai or like other places in Tamil Nadu where, when you go to a sari store, you would have like stacks of saris. Like, imagine a mall here, but it's full of saris.
Sure.
Right? So she spends like almost her entire day, right? Like picking and choosing colors she wants. And then she's like, okay, now I want you to put this color in the body and I want you to put this color in the bottom part and the top part. The guys would look at her like, that's not possible. I can't do that. And she'd be, and if you don't like it, I'm not going to take it back. Right? She would say like, don't worry about it. Just do what I'm asking you to do. So she would get like made to measure saris and the guys would be like, always like, this is a weird combination. Like, why is she asking? Like, nobody else asked me. So, and then she would wear it, of course, and it would be a hit. All her friends want to get them, and they will sell out every single time. So that's what I grew up in, and that's what kind of where my mixing and matching colors come from. And then my grandmother, my mom used to tell me, I don't remember her that much because she passed away when I was very little. But my grandmother, my mom would tell me like she would have all these like beautiful, like in India we wear a lot of jewelry like all made of gold,
right? And
so my grandmother, she would have these jewelry. She would tell me every time I would choose something, which is very rare when I go with my mom to a jewelry store, which is another mall, just jewelry, by the way.
Okay.
And so she would tell me, the way you choose things are very similar to my mom, because she would mix and match patterns. Like, for example, see, I'm wearing these earrings and I'm wearing this, which has nothing to do, like, people don't do that normally. Like, they would match. And my grandmother would do that all the time. She would match different patterns with her jewelry that she would wear, like be it bangles or necklaces or earrings. And so I kind of have it in my genes, I want to say, at this point. But then, like, working as a model, as you told me, that kind of opened up my eye for fashion.
Sure.
So, and I also worked a little bit for my friends in the beginning to be their style consultant, right? So I would, like, help them dress better, feel better. I would always joke about this. It's like one of my best friends, who's a boy. We were in college, and of course I went to med school and did biology because being Indian, yes. You have to do that too. Yeah. So he was like, oh, nobody likes me. Like, he was trying to find a girlfriend, right? Nobody likes me, and and I'm not getting a girlfriend, blah blah blah. And I was like, dude, like, you need to like dress up and show up and be, but I need the girls to like me for what I am from the inside. Like, I'm sorry, what are you looking at right now with that girl? Like, you're looking at her inside.
Right.
And so I dragged him to like a budget store, like H&M, right? Like, because we're students, starving students. So I take him. I was like, I'm not gonna buy anything. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I'm just gonna show you some stuff. If you like it, good. If not, no problem. He ended up buying everything I told him, and then he came. I was at like in our library, biology, revising for like an exam coming up, and I was like this, learning all my stuff. And then I lift up my eyes and my friend walks in with this amazing cool outfit that I put together for him. And I was like, looking at the other students who were like, we're all at that time of life where like you don't feel comfortable in your skin, you're like,
right.
Ugh. And then I see this dude coming in, like super confident with his walk, and I was like, that's what I need to do. So I started helping my friends at college to like get dressed up and pump up their confidence, to go get a job, and so we started off like that. And I of course helped like some of my celebrity friends and all that stuff. It's just amazing to feel that power in a sense of accomplishment, right? Like, right. Because you see those friends of yours like brighten up and they're like, oh my God, I had no idea that I could look this good. And it breaks my heart every single time, like it was like, oh my God, you have so much potential. Like, let me help you.
Right. Well,
So,
in back into the thread of the conversation of visualization, right? It's interesting because part of success in the process and knowing the value, like we talked about knowing the value and what it means to trust the process, right? It's interesting. I mean, I'm going to ask you on the bigger picture of like you began this journey. Now you have this amazing luxury brand, but it sounds like visualization was also part. You're looking at somebody, you're determining I can make this better, and then you make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And so you applied the same methodology with your business.
Absolutely.
Tell me what that process looked like and how has visualization played a role in that journey?
It took me about 6 years, I want to say, to get this whole thing launched, meaning like, traveling back and forth to India to find my artisans with whom I want to work with and developing a relationship with them and, and all that stuff. Visualization, as you say, is a very important thing, right? Like you're like, I didn't realize it at first. So in the beginning, I bought this handbag in India, like at a random store, like they have these little bags that are like, handmade and they're like not very expensive, but they are beautiful, right? Like they don't last very long because, they don't put that much quality into it, but still, visually it looks beautiful, right? So I would carry that kind of stuff. I always did ever since I moved to France. Like every time I would go out somewhere or to a party or school or whatever, like any event, I would have something Indian on me. It was not like culturally important to me or anything, but I just found that beautiful to mix the modern and the
classic.
And every time I did that, people would come and talk to me and I was like, oh my God, that's beautiful, where'd you get it from? So it kept happening to me on and on and on and on and on. And then moved to LA. We moved here like 10 years ago, by the way, sidetracking. Like we moved here and so I was like, walking around with my handbag and I was like, someone stopped me and like, wow, this is beautiful. Where'd you get it from? Like, I got it from India. I was on vacation there and got it from India. It's beautiful. And so I, kept like working on that. And then my husband like, maybe you should start a brand for this thing. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Maybe I should think about it. Then, so I will like started thinking about it, working on it. He is.
Shout out to the husband.
Yes,
I have a coffee
absolutely.
cup that says I don't need Google. I have my husband, and
No, that would be me.
sounds like we both have. Shout out to the husbands for their good ideas.
Yeah. I mean, like he's amazing. He knows me better sometimes than myself, I want to say, which is great. So he was like, that's why he got me this bottle. It was like, remember why you started.
There you go.
I love it.
Trust the process.
Exactly.
That's everything to what we're talking about. So so it sounds so he gave you the idea.
Yeah, so he told me like maybe you should think about starting your own brand. Like people keep asking you, and you have this amazing way of picking things for yourself that people are intrigued by. So you should think about it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna think about it. So in the beginning, I wanted to do like handbags and jewelry and shoes. Then I started working on the handbags, and I saw like, wow, this is a beast. So let me get this organized first, and then we're gonna do everything else. So worked on the handbags. It took me literally 5 years to work on that, to find the fabrics, the people that I want to work with, and all that, and the thing is, like, because I wanted to do a sustainable fashion, because I know how polluting the fashion industry is, so I didn't want to contribute to that.
Right.
So I wanted to like work with fabric that was already available. So we're not producing any fabric specifically for our brand. Which when I talk about fabrics like raw silk that we use for the handbags, most of our handbags are made with raw silk and satin and all the beautiful ornaments that we have on them. So in India, we have this culture of producing raw silk for clothing. For like special events like weddings and when you come to age and any kind of event like Diwali, any festival. So it's very seasonal, and the patterns change, the colors change, and you would have variation. That's why like when our brand will have those variations in our, the fabric would be the same, but the motives would be sometimes different. Like, for example, I don't know if you remember my big blue bag.
Oh, yes.
That like looks like a necklace,
Oh, I
right?
love that bag. I'm not going to lie, yes.
So on the side of it.
Love all your bags, FYI.
Thank you. So on the side of it, that pattern, I started it off like an animal print. It was beautiful. It was blue on animal print. And I was like, this is beautiful. And the guy was like, well, we don't have that anymore in the market, so I have to see what else I can get for you to replace that print. I said, I want some kind of print there. Mm-hmm. So that keeps changing all the time,
right.
So and I love that about it, because I have to work with what's available. And even like my jewelry that we started working on, it came out as like a again, visualization, right? Like, it came out as my own personal collection. I wanted to do like a mini trunk show at home with like friends and family to see if people like them, because these are like statement pieces, right?
Right.
And I wanted to organize that. So I went to India, came back, pandemic hit.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So let's
Well, there's that. Stupid pandemic. Just kidding.
Yeah. So that happened. So, you have to like work around your life and family and all that stuff. So I ended up putting it out there and see, like, okay, let me see. Like, I showed it to a couple of friends here and there, and I was surprised by how much they liked them, because they're kind of ethnic wear, right? Like earrings, like the ones you're wearing as well, but they have a touch of modern feel to it, or something that makes it like, likable by everybody.
Yeah.
So so I was like, okay, let's do it.
Okay.
So.
And here you are.
Here I am.
Here you are, in December, having an event, a launch at Beverly Hilton. And I love that you said statement pieces, because I'm very passionate about statement pieces. Mm-hmm. This is a little trick I've learned. People don't believe me when I tell them I'm shy, but I am genuinely an intro extrovert. I'm that whole thing. And what I've found, I love statement pieces, because you know what? It does something where people do come up to you. Oh, that's beautiful. And then it gives you an opportunity to say, well, thank you. Absolutely. Oh, how's your evening going? It actually creates opportunity to connect with someone else.
Absolutely.
And I think it doesn't matter in that sense, like what, if it has the tradition or it has this, it's just beautiful. And I think that's, something that you have done very well at executing, I want you to know. And I love that. When we talk about women, and, I shared in the intro, you come from a line and you come from a culture of women entrepreneurship. Not always the favorite conversation, but you've definitely stood out there and really let the world know, like, in a respectful but bold way, I am who I am, and I'm going to be that woman. How has that been for you?
It's been tough at times, for sure. But I grew up watching my mom be that strong, independent woman in that society. So my dad was, back in the day, he was working abroad. So my mom was by herself, single mom, I have a bigger brother who's like 6 years older than me. So like, raising two kids by herself. And in a society like that, you need to have a male presence in the family. If not, everybody else is like coming at you like you're like a bakery, right? So she was amazing, and I did not know that because I was too young, right? Like I was like 3-4 years old, but even before, I think my dad left when I was like a year or something, because I remember when he came back one time, because the big thing, right, like when you're in India, like, people like to go abroad to make money and come back home and all that stuff, which is a normal thing. So when my dad, I remember when he came back home, my brother remembered him because he's much older than me. So he ran to him, he gave him a big hug, and I'm like, and I was like, like that, and going to my mom, like, Mom, what was that?
Right, right.
Because I didn't know, and we didn't have any pictures of my dad at the time. So she told me, like, that's your dad, Mom. He just came back. Remember you, Daddy? Because at that time we didn't have a lot of telephones like now, right? So it was just insane for me to have that
experience.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
So so I just grew up with my mom, like, all that Me Too stuff, right? Everything. Now I remember them back, how they happened, what happened, all those things. I'm able to put them into context. But back in the day, I was just being there, right? Like, you're a child, you don't know what's going on, and all this stuff. But she went through all of that like a warrior. So I grew up watching her. And I would challenge her sometimes as well. Every time, like, she would, like in India, like, people are so fearful of what would the others would think, like,
right.
Because
right.
you're living in a society, in your street, in your little city or village or whatever that is, like, you're like so scared of, oh my God, what are they gonna say?
Right.
And I would always challenge her, like, who are they?
Right.
Are they paying your bills? Are they feeding you? Like, what is the matter? Like, who are they to you? I don't care what other people think. So that also kind of helped me to like go against that all the time, because I'm like, I want to be me, like, and also me being dark skinned, I love my skin color, but that's a big thing as well in India, like, people love, especially in the South, like, they want everybody to be fair,
right? And
so they have all this fairness cream, and it's like the whole buzz going on about like all those creams and India and all that. But same thing, my mom, she would like, my mom is the funniest, like, she would say the most horrible things in a very, very normal way, like a lot of moms do.
Right.
She was like, oh, you're so pretty, too bad you're not fair. Stuff like that.
I had that mom. She'd tell me I was pretty, but she'd say, oh, but you would have been so much more pretty with your grandfather's blue eyes. And I'm like, God. Well, I got my dad. I know you hate him, but I got my dad's brown eyes. And by the way, I love my freaking brown eyes now, to your point. I want to say, I remember in the UAE when I was younger, and you talk about expats, in the UAE, I would even though I lived in the United States, I would read the newspaper, and there would always be the advertisements for matrimonials, and you had a lot of the Indian, families saying, like, she's got to be this tall, she has to be educated, but she's got to be like ready to birth kids, and she needs to be fair, and she need like have good hips and stuff. Like, it was like something like this. This was happening. This was probably around 2002 that I'm reading these things.
It still happens.
And I know it still happens. It's very interesting. So how did you navigate challenging, especially now as a woman, you continue to still challenge what of some people stereotypically
absolutely
want to, what is your message? Because I love how even, and I see that you're kind of taking the opportunity to really create these experiences through your items that you create and your jewelry and your handbags. Her bags, this is from your website, her bags are a symbol for women to find and nurture the graceful authority and regal elegance that exists within themselves.
Absolutely.
That's huge. What efforts do you go through to like achieve this outcome? I mean, outside of what you've told me from like I know you've gone through the sourcing and that, like, spiritually, is there anything that you do? How do you really create that experience for your clients and customers?
I want to, because all the bags that I created, as I said, they're bold pieces, they're statement pieces. So people want to wear them to empower them. So as you said that in a different way, but how I do this is like, I'm carrying this bag. I know it's catching your eye, but I don't give a shit.
I love it. Yes, you can curse on this one.
I don't care. I don't care. I love this bag, and I'm carrying it. I'm making a statement, and I don't give anything about what you're thinking, or how you're looking at me. I don't care. Mm-hmm. And that's what I had in mind when I was creating all this bold colored pieces, be it the handbags or the jewelry. I want women to feel empowered, saying, like, I get to wear this and I can go and achieve whatever I wanted to, because I'm a warrior. Because women, like, we go through stuff every single day.
Yeah.
Right. Like my Italian coming out.
Yeah. No, well, and go ahead. So we go through things every day. Yes,
every single day, right? Like we have so many things that we have to deal with. Be it the Me Too, be it a boss that is not being okay with you doing something, or be it just because you're a woman, right? Like I heard a friend telling me the other day. I was on the phone with this client of mine that I was explaining to them what we are supposed to do, and then they were like backs and forth of emails and all that stuff, and I was explaining them exactly what needs to be done, but the person was not listening. Mm-hmm. And then my male colleague took over and explained the exact same thing. They understood better.
Right.
Right. I'm like, how? And that happens to us every day. And that's what I mean by, like, we go through war every single day.
Right.
Right? Like
The
anything
battles,
in our
yeah,
life.
yeah.
So that's why I want to, like, take that moment for all women out there to, like, be a sort of who you are and the power you hold.
I love that. And I agree. You know what I love about what your line does and how important that color is to anybody out there who does not understand. We do a lot of black, right? Women, right? I want to wear black because it makes me look thinner. Mm-hmm. And we tend to do this thing where we don't embrace vibrance or something that makes you feel like when you walk into a room, you are a badass. And because you are a badass when you walk into a room. Absolutely. And when you have something like that just makes you feel, when people looking at you, they're looking at you for the right reasons. They're looking at you because they see a light, a glow. Absolutely. And I think that really does come, like with what you put on, not just what you put on, by the way, but what you put in your soul. Absolutely. But definitely these fashion choices, they're not, for some people, especially for me, it's not just a fashion choice. It's an experience. Do you find that also it's a healing part? It's part of healing to embody the stronger version, like to the woman who's going through a divorce.
Absolutely,
right?
Like, you said that perfectly well. It's also about what's inside you. And for me, when I did the style consulting and looking at these people, like, glow, and after I was done working with them, it kind of made me understand. And like when I told you about when my friend walked in and I was looking at all these gloomy guys and girls, and then I see this friend walking in with confidence. And what makes you go in that confident direction is that because you're dressed well and you look in the mirror and you feel that. Right. And so you walk out with that special jump, little hop in your step. And that's what makes you do that, right? So that's also why these pieces that, like, you put it on and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, wow, that looks cool. Okay, let me go, achieve stuff today.
Yes. And it's amazing how sometimes you think you have something that nobody will notice, right? But have you ever taken a picture, which I'm sure, or somebody buys your product and someone takes a picture and it's like, oh, I love your handbag. Like you post it not thinking that really someone's going to notice, but they do. They notice these little things. I love it. How do you hope to serve as a source of inspiration for people, not only Indian women, but all women in general?
Well, through my brand, I mean, I help. I want to help accomplish these, empowerment, right? And also we also do charity work as well. Like 30% of all our sales go towards any charity that we hold dear to our heart. For me, like child abuse and child labor is a huge part because being a mom.
Fashion, ironically enough.
Of course. Yeah. And being a mom, it's like, it even before that, it was a strong part in my heart. But now that I'm a mom, I'm like even more drawn towards it. So my mom used to have she has a charity in India where she helped women, like widows and handicaps and children to, like, reassess into their lives and get a job and all this stuff. She would teach them like work, hand work they would do, like for women to reestablish themselves. And so I want to my brother's going to pursue that. My mom passed away in 2019, so my brother's going to pursue that foundation. And so I want to help as much as I can towards children in India and elsewhere when we're done with there, because we have a lot of people there, and in Sri Lanka as well. Like, there's like first necessities are missing in some places. Like, we don't see that much on television or anything. Like hospitals, like they do amazingly with the little they have, so I want to help as much as I can towards that.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously even to the conversation of women in business, I remember looking up, we got some statistics on it. By estimates, 20% of small to medium-sized businesses are owned by women, while 80% are men.
Of course.
And according to Forbes India, the percentage of self-employed women in the country went down during the pandemic as the percentage of salaried women drastically went up in the span of actually 6 years and even before then. Interestingly enough, in France, not to bag wholly on India, but also in France, not much better. Still, only a third of businesses are owned by women.
Yeah.
What is your call to action for, as we go against gender bias, right? The assumptions of what a woman wants to do and what she's capable of doing, while men often, without a doubt, have the opportunity to go out and be the CEO and still be a father and still do those things. How do you feel we fight and take on those gender biases?
I mean, we're doing a good job. I want to say, this is all, I read that article as well. And, it's not a surprise because gender bias, of course, 100% there. When people are going to get a loan at a bank, as you're a small business or a sole proprietor and stuff like that, it's so hard when it's a woman versus a man, so I don't know, it's very, very hard for women to do what we want to do without having any kind of negativity and backlash. And, so I think we're doing a good job fighting all that right now, and it's going in the right direction. I want to say that women are getting more and more empowered every day, listening to podcasts like yours and other people that are out there doing it and showing them it's possible, right?
Sure.
So
right,
and that's what I'm trying to do as well, not only for myself, for everybody else, even for my daughter. My daughter is looking at me and she's like, I can't do that. I'm not a boy, because they say she's gonna turn 5, but there were times and I don't have gender biased toys at home, but she directly goes towards pink and
right.
and
right. No, there's some of those kids.
It's crazy. And she would tell me pink is girls' color, blue is. But I was like, no, that's not true.
Right.
Because your brother can wear pink. He loves pink.
Right.
And how can you say no to your brother that he cannot wear pink?
Right.
And you, same thing. You can wear blue. Don't you like that blue dress of yours? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of reason with her, and and she sees me do all these things just like I did when I was a kid, when I was looking at my mother going through all this stuff, right? So that kind of empowers you. And when you see someone do stuff and you tell yourself, I can do this too. And when you see a woman do these things, you as a woman say, okay, I can go out and do that too,
right.
or something else which I want to do,
right?
So it's very important for us to be there, be out there, and you
being role models,
and I mean, role model for me is a big word. I don't know.
Okay. Well, at least an influence, a true influencer. True influencer, right? Now, well, and I mean, how have you? One thing too I want to say is, men need to be more willing to take on the opportunity to support women.
Absolutely.
To get the VCs out there that need to support these ideas and visions, and ultimately it does contribute. So I feel, going back to even the visualization right now, in kind of closing up, and also, the traumas that we draw on, the experiences that we draw on, what right now would be your biggest message to women deciding, I want to go into business for myself. I might have an uphill, I might be going against the stream. I might have an uphill battle, whatever it is, what is your main message to that person out there?
Keep going forward. That's, and don't worry about anything that's coming at you. You got this, like that scene from Wonder Woman, right, with the shield and she moves forward. That's so awesome. But that's so true. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just keep going,
Trust the process.
Yes, trust the process.
Trust the process. See how we keep bringing it back?
Yeah, that was good.
Right. Well, I love it. I know we're not able to have as much time with you today, but I do want to get out some rapid fire questions. It gives our audience a little bit of fun to get to, kind of it's only 5. My only request is ask them as quickly and as authentically as you can answer them.
Okay, I'll try.
And then that's it. Okay, so number 1, what size bed do you prefer?
King size.
Eastern King or California King?
I think I have have no. I think it's a king or what's the
Well,
difference
king.
again? I keep confused.
Eastern is wider. California is longer. Eastern I had when I got kids, so I wasn't like
Yeah.
not
No,
that
I think
that
it's
always
the biggest one.
Yeah,
Whichever-
right, the widest one.
The widest one.
I like it. She's like the widest one. That's the one I prefer.
Because I mean, come on, the bed is this big. Me and my husband, we have this much of space.
Right.
Both kids are like perpendicular to the bed, pushing us on both
Right,
sides.
with their leg in your back. Yes, I know this. I know this. Yeah. When was the last time you stayed up past 4 a.m. in the morning?
Ooh,
You
not
can't
recently.
remember?
Not recently.
I can't remember.
Past 4 I don't know. Does it count if your daughter comes into your bed during the night and then you're up for like another 3 hours and it's like time to wake up?
That's the different kind of like there's two other that I can either think of. Either past 4 in the morning, you're in working. You can't. You have to pull an all nighter
I
work.
have 2 children. I'm like out at like 10 p.m. I'm like I can't. I
You gotta go to bed.
I need to close my eyes right now.
Then there's me in Cannes at 4 a.m. going home at sunrise, and it's like, wait,
Wow.
how is this still happening? I blame the time
Oh
change
my
for that.
God. You're
Okay.
good. I can't.
For a journal,
Mm-hmm.
paper or computer?
Paper. Always.
Yeah, I know. So you see, I still got my notepad here even now. What's something you could eat for a week straight?
Rice and curry.
Rice and curry. There you go. Okay.
Or pasta. Depends on the mood.
If there's a spider in your house, do you kill it or set it free?
I have lots of spiders in my house. We set them free every single time.
That's so funny. I have one. I have a stair climber
We
in
live
my
in
house.
California. Like,
Yeah,
come
right.
on,
It's
LA.
there. I have one in one of my corners. My daughter's. I was like, just leave him alone. He's my little friend, and
Yeah.
like he's not bothering anybody. But
Yeah, I would tell my daughters like, my daughter, I would tell her like, I'm sure that she or he is more scared than you are,
Right.
because you're a giant. to
yeah,
them. I'm like-
exactly.
and then she's like,
In their
oh,
life, and
yeah.
I know. Well, thank you so much for being here. We really love and appreciate you. I'm so excited. I know she brought me a gift. I can't wait, but I appreciate you. I look forward to all that you continue to do. Thank you for sharing part of your journey with us today. And before you go, please, or before we go ahead and close out, where can our audience find you? Where can they support you? For the listening audience, go ahead and just tell them your socials.
You
or your
can
website.
follow me on www.veronicatharmalingam.com or thecoolbags.com if you can't remember my full name. It's long. And my Instagram is the same as my website, so it's Veronica Tharmalingam, Tharmalingam.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you so much for having me. That was cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, to everyone else at home, there you go. We have we're continuing this amazing process. I'm very thankful. A reminder again, Unsugarcoated Media is a 501c3 media production company. One of the ways that you can support us, you guys, is actually 2 ways I'm going to give you to support us. Go to the Unsugarcoated Media YouTube, check out our latest social shorts where we are promoting and sharing our sweatshirts, our unisex hoodie, Live Empowered going down the line and promotion, support. And what's good is that every time you see that Live Empowered, you are reminded to live empowered. That's the point, guys. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you. Don't forget to come back next week. And thank you so much for letting us be Unsugarcoated. Take care.